Crypto trading secrets. We got Jayson Casper coming on today. Yes, we're going to be breaking down the charts of what's going on in the crypto market. Bitcoin starting to show signs of life, like we might be seeing a bit of a reversal. Altcoins, are they doomed? We're going to be diving into all this and more. I'm getting this retweeted right now on the Academy BitLab page, and also, of course, the live stream on the @Kellam page on my X account. But we got to make sure that we are catching these trends, because there's some people still getting chopped out when we have the best opportunity of our lives happening right before our eyes right now. Everybody get that like button slapped, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. We're going to dive right on into it. Let's get it. What's up, everybody? Hello, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuned in from. We got to talk about what's going on in this market because it's still looking incredibly bullish, but there's a lot of chop on the smaller time frames. When we dive into this chart, we've been watching this. It feels like nothing has changed over the last few weeks. I mean, all the way back here, look at this, into February, almost 2 months now. Just sitting here in a bottoming formation, suggesting that we are setting up for that next leg to the upside. But while this is going on, so many people are tuned in on these smaller time frames. Look at this 15-minute. It's just chop suey up and down, just no quarter given. So what are we doing about this? We got to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that we're not getting chopped out. We're taking advantage of the best opportunity of our lives. In fact, I'm working several jobs now. I think I just even got another sponsorship from our new partners, Only Feet. That's right. We want to, I'm absolutely joking there, but I am doing as much as I can to put out content here, to put out content on the Mario Nawfal channel, doing what we're doing on Discover Crypto. And we've got a lot of things in store that we've been working towards, basically consolidating a lot of the stuff we're doing with Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, and here on BitLab Academy, so that we can bring you the best information out there, keeping you in the know about what's going on in these markets. But let's dive in. I want to run through a couple things because we got Jayson Casper coming on a little bit. But before we do that, I got to ask you, what are you grateful for today? What are you like you feel like you're actually appreciative of, whether it's your health, whether it's your family, whether it's the money you do have in your bank account, whether it's just a right disposition? We got to make sure we're rooting everything and every day and what we're grateful for, because it is the immediate and absolute cure for anxiety and a lot of times depression as well. Now, I cannot claim that I can solve that, but I know that when we are focused on the things that we have, the things that we're doing, the things that we can give, life becomes so much better. So yeah, we're here to make some money. We're here to look at charts. We're here to look at what's going on and make sure we can capture the best opportunity of our lifetime. However, we also want to do this not just for the numbers on the screen. Who gives a shit if you could take a screenshot of a big portfolio if you don't have friends and family around, if you don't have good health, if you don't have mobility in your body? And of course, you want to make sure that you got good feet to carry you great places. So let's dive into some of these things that we want to talk about. If this is your first time here, welcome to BitLab Academy. My name's Kellam. We're about to break it down for you and keep you on the right side of what's going on in this market. Because again, when we zoom in on Bitcoin, let's actually remember to zoom out, just like we do in our lives. If you're zoomed in on a problem, you're not looking at the absolute bullishness that's in this chart. You're not focused on the true growth that has been at play this many months, year and a half. Oh, actually, is it just a year and a half? Let's zoom out on the weekly chart. Hell, this has been a bull market all the way essentially since it started back in 2009. Yes, we have corrections along the way, much like, look at what this looks like. Much like if we were to zoom in here, look at this on, for instance, this cycle alone. It's just another rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation. So when we zoom out, we realize we have got an incredible setup here that is only going to get better, especially considering everything going on right now with world governments, strategic Bitcoin reserve on the cusp of buying 1 million Bitcoin for the US. We got sovereign wealth funds like Abu Dhabi already stacking into Bitcoin, MicroStrategy stacking in, Metaplanet, GameStop, Similar Scientific. The trend is only going to get stronger for the case for adoption in Bitcoin. And of course, all of us are degens. That's right. That's why I degened a little bit this morning. And I added I picked back up some BitTensor Tau because we've got this incredible, I mean, we sold somewhere up in here. I don't even remember where. Prices pulled back, I mean, pretty ridiculously here. Nice sort of potential, again, potential bottoming formation here, starting to show signs of a bit of inverted head and shoulders with the dip here on the left shoulder, the deeper dip. Now the bears not really being able to pull it down much further. I'm being aggressive with this. You're going to have to decide if you want to be too. This is not financial advice. I'm just doing for what's going to work for my strategy. And the fact that I was very bullish up here, although it looked like the market was getting weaker, we consolidated into a stronger portfolio that was a little bit less risk addressed, right? So now we de-risk a bit in that portfolio. And this is what we were talking about 3 days ago on BitTensor Tau, the price action getting rejected from this overhead resistance trend line. And we wanted to watch from this Fibonacci, this low to this high, potential price action coming down and holding above this 382, which is basically the most bullish pullback you can get. Now, if this does drop from here, I'm okay with this because I'm holding this as a position trade for some time. If this does come down here, this would still be a very respectable level for a bullish pullback to come back into this golden pocket right here. So let's get out. We got to go through a couple more things. Again, we got Jayson Casper coming on here in just a little bit, breaking down some of his trading secrets, what he's seeing in the market, what we're looking at for on the technical analysis, and also between altcoins and Bitcoin. So I'm looking forward to having him on. Make sure you're following him over at Jayson Casper on YouTube, and of course also on X at Jayson_Casper, and that is with a Jayson. Now, continuing on, what do we see, everybody? $2.67 trillion market cap. Market's starting to feel like it. I mean, it really does feel like it's on the cusp. The only thing that's really holding back the bulls from just going on a full rampage and pumping like a mofo, I think, is the confusion going on with the tariffs. In fact, it's not just Bitcoin and the crypto markets. We actually also see, first off, if anybody's interested in what happened with the the mantra meltdown the other day, I did an interview yesterday. Nearly 340,000 people tuned in, and we broke this down with the CEO. He gave his approximation of really what happened and what their plans are moving forward. So this is on my wall if you want to have a listen to that. Me and Buzz on the Mario Nawfal channel. But looking here, it's not just Bitcoin. What are we seeing? The S&P 500 also trading below the 5-day, 10-day, 20-day, 50-day, 100-day, 200-day, aka the bearish trend is kind of getting pretty entrenched here on the S&P 500. Now, even if you don't trade the S&P 500, you want to look to other signals. It's kind of like if you're dating somebody. I think men tend to have the biggest problem with this, and women will agree. Men think that there's not signals there when there are. They wonder why a woman's getting mad at this thing. It's this small thing. It's never that small thing. Are you out of your mind? It's a combination of an ongoing persistence of small things that are building up to that final needle on the haystack that basically breaks the camel's back. Similarly, when we're looking at these markets, we can see signals outside of the specific thing that we're really interested in. Relationship, there's always signals. The tone of voice, the actions, the body language, the warmth. Are you rubbing each other's feet? Well, let's look at these markets because the markets are not rubbing our feet right now. What we're seeing is a de-risking scenario in the market, and it's not just S&P 500. We're also seeing it with Jerome Powell, doing the Salt Bay on the price action. Every time he speaks, it feels like we're getting that massive sell-off, but the markets did rebound yesterday because we're also seeing it on gold. This is what's very interesting. Gold going up while bonds are going up at the same time. Is this potentially a signal that we're heading into something a lot more scary, or is this more of a symptom of what's going on with the trade war between the US and China? Is China making massive gold purchases right now? I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of conflicting signals right now that we need to pay attention to. And don't worry, everybody. We're getting into the charts with Bitcoin, altcoins, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, AVAX, BitTensor, and more here in just a few minutes when Jayson Casper comes on. And we're going to get some of his thoughts on the market. But then we also got this back and forth. And again, I'm not trying to be political. I'm talking about one of the things that's most frustrating to me right now. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. I care that we can talk to each other. One of the things that we need to realize as a people in the United States or whatever country you're in is the fact that there's differences, different silos of information that different groups of people are getting. So everything that you're so sure about, whether you're on the right or you're on the left, realize you feel that way because you have a regular and persistent flow of information supporting that thought and that ideal. The same thing is true on the left. The same thing is true on the right. So when you're at odds with each other about what's going on, try to figure out a way to meet in the middle and see what information are you seeing. Because look at the information I'm seeing. Oh, shit, it's probably somewhere in the middle. And I bring this up because Elizabeth Warren is out here saying Trump should not be calling for Powell to lower rates and say he wants him fired. This is hurting the nature of democracy and will ruin the stock market. And here she is a matter of months ago saying, hey, Powell, you need to cut rates because, you need to do this swiftly. So it's essentially the same thing. The pot calling the kettle black. And it goes both ways. Again, I'm a very center of the road type of individual. I just get so angry that people don't allow themselves to talk with each other and disagree. I can disagree with you and we can still have coffee. I can disagree with you. We can still have a meal. I can disagree with you and think that you're out of your mind on your political leanings and still be friends. Let's stop being so darn divided in this country. Now, getting over to some data here. Stablecoin supply growth remains positive, but has softened in recent weeks. What does this mean? As stablecoins serve as a core asset, as a core quote assets, we can basically see that this is still in a bit of a contraction. We're not really in a huge risk on environment based on the stablecoin data we're seeing here on chain. So does that mean it's over? No, we're getting bullish signals and bearish signals, but the underlying and predominant feeling we're having on a fundamental level within the Bitcoin ecosystem specifically is an overwhelming bullish tailwind that is projected to such incredible adoption. It doesn't mean you just throw caution to the wind though, because then we also see over the this is very important. The past 9 days, the long-term holder supply has increased by 297,000 Bitcoin. Now, is that good, bad? Well, let's look at this little potential leading indicator of this large uptick right here and what this looks like in relationship to when this bottomed out. And this was at 7 or 8 months sideways chop, about $17,000 to $20,000 moves to really shake people out like viciously here. And this started ticking up preceding that large move to the upside. So is this a leading signal? I don't know, maybe, but we can pay attention to it as well as that other data that we just had regarding stable coins not quite yet getting the signal. We want to get the ingredients of as many signals as possible so that we can make the smartest decision based on data, not just on price. And then we see, of course, I've shown you this before, but the Bitcoin price action over the years, all the way back here to 2010. And what have we seen on this contracting data signal when this has bounced? What has this signaled in each previous cycle? This is back in 2021. This is back in 2016 into 2017. This is back here in 2012 into 2013. This bottoming, this reversal on the global business cycle, as we spoke about yesterday with the ISM, right? Basically the business cycle, the contraction of business and liquidity, or the expansion of things getting deployed and rolled out. What we're seeing is a potential preceding signal that has been at this point, and this can break, basically a preceding signal for potential massive growth here. The problem with this is people see this and go all in 90x, fuck, why did I get liquidated? Because that's not what this is about. This is a signal that on the macro does show that we're going to see massive upside is likely to come in the near future. Now, if this is to come in the near future, there is still a world of choppiness that can happen. This is a weekly. If you get down here on the 24-minute, this is just chopping people out in all directions. We see this on the global, on the liquidation heat map here. Seeing seeing just, I mean, liquidity zones. Price action is just trying its best to wash people out in any way possible. Coming up here, look at this, tapping this liquidity. Now coming down, tapping this liquidity. Cool. Now come up here, tap this liquidity. Now come down. So this is just chopping people out that are too excited with a little too much greed on either direction. Shout out to Crypto Princess, super chat. What does that say? Much respect to Jayson Casper. He's a great man. And what prophetic super chat that is, because we got somebody that I think is about to walk up on us on screen, and that's our boy. That's our guy. The grateful gentleman he is, Mr. Jayson Casper. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, bro. What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
It's been a long time coming, man. We've been, colleague, friends online, seeing each other's stuff the last few years. I've been excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, man, it's cool to be on. I've been watching the show. I'm always in the chat lurking. Sometimes I'm, chatting along, but yeah, enjoy it.
So I titled today's stream a little bit obscure because I titled it "Crypto Trading Secrets," because surely there is
I've got them.
there's only one thing that people need to do, right? And that's the secret.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yes.
What is that secret, Jayson?
It's licking a plunger before you hit the buy or sell button. That's the secret, but the problem is people don't want to do it because it tastes so bad.
I hear that. I used to play guitar and sing and travel. Basically professional musician, and people. I'm still decently good, but I was really good. And people would ask me, "No, but what's the secret?" And I'm like, "Dude, the only secret is time and experience." Getting burned, learning from being burned, figuring out how to learn from others like you, like Frankie Candles, like CryptoFace, hopefully a little bit from me, but pulling these different ingredients together and building a strategy and doing it over and over and over and remaining adaptable. There's no shortcut to this other than the secret of spending time in the market. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's definitely a big part of it. Also, just systematizing the process, money management, I'd say, which comes along with experience for sure. It's funny that you used to be a full-time musician because I was also, and I feel like a lot of traders used to be because we realized, it's not a lot of money in music.
Yeah, I mean, I did decently well. I kind of hit a couple lucky streaks, but I was persistent. I was very persistent, and my thing was I can always play music. I can always do it. But I realized during COVID, I was already involved with crypto very heavily. But I realized during COVID, I was like, well, this is a perfect time, if ever, to pivot because I don't want to end up being 65 and having, because I toured as a DJ for like 15 or 16 years also, like underground house, world music, stuff like that, in addition to years before that touring as a singer songwriter. And I realized I can always do music, but I have such a deep knowledge on crypto and I'm not bad in talking. Why not pivot and actually get out here and make use of the fastest, the best opportunity I really do think in a multi-generational time frame, which is an evolution, a revolution in money systems and access and blockchain technology. So I've been full bore on this. I feel a little bit depleted from my creative output, but I also feel like I'm on stage here when I get to talk to you and see everybody in these audiences and go to conferences. It feels good.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I feel a similar way. It's interesting.
So looking at these markets, I'll pull some stuff up while you're walking along, and you're welcome to share screen if you want at some point too. But looking at this, everybody's been waiting on Bitcoin breakout, the secret to when it's going to do that, when we're going to get that big move. And in addition to that, we have all of these more retail focused people looking over here at the altcoins and just, I mean, it's been essentially a very odd year this last year and a half with almost two full round trips on altcoins. Do you think we're going to get some form of any similar type of alt season, or is this going to be these sort of little mini fractured uh, quick rotations between the markets?
Man, I hope we get another big pump. I mean, honestly, it seems preposterous to me that Ethereum is not going to hit a new all-time high. Um, Solana just barely hit that all-time high. A lot of these coins have not hit all-time highs. It seems a little preposterous to me, I have to be honest with you. So, right now I'm still in the camp that we are going to see, Bitcoin break out and then eventually these altcoins hit some new highs. That's what I'm hoping for, man. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, like I that's where I'm leaning, but I'm not 100%, saying it's going to happen. I hope it happens because I've got some bags, bro. I've got some bags that
Let's just say
you
I'm a
know,
little over allocated. Yeah.
yeah, I've got some bags that I've been waiting to take profits on and hoping to get to do so. But right now, I think Bitcoin's actually looking pretty bullish. So I've got some hope right now for Bitcoin potentially doing what you've got drawn out on your chart. I think we're seeing some bullish signs. Not only are we coming down to pretty key support, that zone you've got marked out in orange, but I'd say the oscillators are starting to look pretty bullish as well.
Yeah,
So,
they let's pull up I know you use Market Cipher, don't you?
of course, man, you don't? Oh, wait, you got it. Oof. Man, I was freaking out for a second there.
I mean, I got my Market Cipher on here. I've got Luxalgo. We have our own BitLab Trading Stack Indicators, which are similar. Oops, let me turn off the volume. Similar in context with Market Cipher, but yeah,
Yeah.
looking at Market Cipher, the interesting thing about this for me, looking at the 3 day, is I'd really like to see this money flow. If it does dip, do something like this because it's kind of been on a little bit of a retraction here. It does give me some pause because you have this retraction and the VWAP sort of rolling over. But it feels like at the same time, with all the technical analysis that we do, this cycle has been humbling because it's almost like throw all your models out the window, but you still need to use them because you'll have the perfect setup and all the signals are suggesting. And then you get 3 tweets in a row from Trump that sends the market in both directions, followed up the next day with Jerome Powell. So how are you making sense of this sort of outside impact that's been, I feel, a little bit more consistent, which is not normal on these markets beyond just the technical analysis?
Yeah, what's interesting is this cycle's been different, um, in a sense that like fundamentals have been driving price a little bit more than usual. Like the ETF, for example, that brought us to an all-time high before the halving, so that's a little bit different. I don't know. Can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Is that
when you
possible?
do, when you share, you'll see a little toggle on the bottom right. Make sure that's deselected. It says something about tabs audio or something. If you don't deselect
Deselected.
that, it turns you into a robot.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Cool. You can see that?
Yeah, I see it. Let me switch screens and boom, there you go.
Yeah. So what's interesting here is, we hit the that all-time high before the halving, and typically what happens, like this is where the cycle started to disobey the rules, right? Typically, what happens is when we're coming up into that bear market rally, we typically get like a really deep retracement from the golden pocket, the 618, like 50% at least. But this time it was pretty shallow. It was like a 20% move to the downside. So this is like the first sign that like things are not necessarily playing by the rules here. But I do want to point out the fact that although the fundamentals did impact the movement of the price, the technicals were still respected because we still did get a rejection. I mean, this is the 2-week chart here. Even if we go to the month, you can see we're going straight up here, but then this is the only candle where we get some kind of a rejection. So it looks to me like the 4-year cycle is still in play. It's just maybe the moves are not as extreme. And then, something else that's interesting here is like after Trump wins the election, obviously we get the big pump that happened when like November 4th or something like that, right around here. Uh, but when you look at this, just in a zoomed out perspective here, really not much has happened. I mean, the week that Trump won the election, the price is pretty much the same, right? So you can almost even look at this as like a little bit of like an anomaly. And in general, maybe, now I'm not saying this is the case, but if the election hadn't happened, maybe we would have spent a little bit more time in this range, or maybe we would have gotten like a retrace like this, and it wouldn't have been so parabolic. But what I think is interesting too is like the last few weeks, it seems like there's been a lot of volatility in the markets. But like I was saying, can we really say this is a lot of volatility? It feels like it for us as traders because we're here every single day on the 1 minute, 30-second, 5-second. But
Well, Jason, on that note, one of the things I did not have on my bingo card this year was that the S&P 500 was going to flip Bitcoin for being more volatile.
that is yeah, that has been a big change for sure this time where we're in such boring price action. I mean, it's crazy. I think I've taken like 2 trades in the last like 3 weeks here. Like maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but yeah, it's pretty wild. But
I,
when I'm looking at this right now, like I'm sorry,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm looking at this right now, and the way I'm seeing this is, throughout the entirety of the uptrend here, every single range that we form, we break out. So, from the very beginning, you range, you break out, you have your range, break out, range, you break out. And the closest we ever got to coming back into the previous range was on August 4th. And so, for this structure to change here, we actually need to close, I'd say like a weekly or a monthly candle back inside this old range here. So right now we're at very key support. And when we look at market Cipher B on the weekly, we're printing a hidden bullish divergence here. This is the second time in the uptrend we've printed a hidden bullish divergence.
And just one of the things I like to do, and I forget all the time, just give a basic, very, very basic description. What is a hidden bullish divergence and why does that matter?
Yeah, for sure. So when you're looking at like any trend, in this case an uptrend, the bottom is usually signaled by as the price is getting lower, the oscillator is getting higher. That's a regular bullish divergence. And then typically what happens is then you change market structure, you make a higher high, taking out that previous lower high, and you come down for a higher low. And typically then the oscillator is going to give you continued direction where you're printing another wave that's higher than that previous wave. But then what happens is as you continue in the uptrend, and you can just take a trend line roughly and draw it through here, when you hit those higher lows, now the oscillator starts to get lower. See, at first it gets higher and then it starts to get lower. And so if the price is making a higher low in an uptrend like this, and that oscillator is printing a lower low, that's a hidden bullish divergence. You can think of it as the oscillator's coming way down, like deep into the trampoline, ready to boom back up to the upside. And the last time this happened, that was the big breakout of the range. And we're seeing this happen again right now. And I don't like to trade hidden bullish divergences alone. I like to look at them and say, okay, there's a potential here for this to confirm in 3 days, 9 hours. But how do the lower time frames look, right? Because the high time frames are showing you everything very low resolution. So if you zoom in, we're seeing regular bullish divergences on these lower time frames. Like the price is getting lower. We have confirmed 3-day bullish divergence, 2-day bullish divergence, 1-day bullish divergence, money flow getting higher. So right now, to me, everything is pointing to, I say the general low is in. Like the specific low, I'm open to another dip into the box, but I say the general low's in. And so what I'm looking for is if we look at the history of these green dots on Market Cipher, when they confirm, we have 2 or 3 weeks before the big blast off. So, this green dot confirmed over here. Look at how slow the action was as we were forming the bottom. I mean, literally, it felt like we had 3 weeks where the price didn't move at all. And overall, we had 50 days of sideways. But once that hidden bullish divergence confirms, we actually have 2 more weeks of downside, and then boom.
It's a great reminder for people to zoom out on the charts, because when you look at it on the weekly, it's like, oh, green dot, and then it basically immediately pumped. But when you're on a 1 hour chart all day long every day, you're like,
yeah,
bro, what is
we're
going
dumping.
on? It's like you're in the trenches in World War II or World War I, just going mustard gas. And then you zoom out and realize, oh, I'm only playing Risk, the board game, at a dinner table with my family.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly right. Like as day traders, it's easy to get chopped up. But yeah, when you zoom out, same thing, 2024, we confirm the dot, we have 2 weeks of downside, and then boom. So what I'm looking at here is if we confirm this dot in 3 days, then in about 2 weeks time, 2 to 3 weeks time, put us like maybe the second week of May, say like around the 19th or whatever. That's when I actually expect like a massive move. So if this thing confirms, we might chop around a little bit, come down maybe for a few weeks, and then we could really get that big push leading into the summer. That's
Dude,
what I'm looking for.
can I
If
show you
this confirms.
something? Can I show you
Yeah, yeah.
something that's pretty wild? First off, I want to shout out Sally Stacks, super chat, $5 says, Jayson Casper, are you going to be at the Bitcoin conference in Vegas next month? Appreciate your content. Would love to meet you in person. So if you could answer that real quick, and then I got a magic chart to show you.
Sadly, I won't be there, but I'm trying to clone myself to see if I could get there with my clone.
Hey, there you go. Making AI agents real again. There we go. But
Yeah.
no, this chart right here, you're talking about the bout around May 20th-ish. Looking at this chart right here, if I turn off Market Cipher, DBSI, turn off Bollinger Band so we can see this clearly. These measured zones that I have, these are the last 2 times, including this one here. So all 3 times we've seen the death cross. I counted the days of the breakdown of the actual death cross to when the price actually broke back above the moving average. And these two added together and divided by 2, which is how you get an average, is 51 days. That 51-day mark, which is the average time this is spent under the death cross before confirming breaking back above it, showing that it was a bottom, puts us right about the week of the May 20th, May 23rd, May 24th, May 25th. So this would be the average of those 2 moving averages. Let me actually go right here. We could turn it on. So we are on the daily. We can see this is the death cross right here. Boom, until we break back above the 200. Same thing, boom, until we break back above and hold above the 200. Average about 51 days. And that would put us perfectly in line with the same data that you just shared. Now, I do know there's going to be some people asking, they see the green dot on your chart. What the hell do you mean until the green dot confirms? It's on the chart.
Yeah, it's on the chart for now, but it could go away because green dots are fickle. They're like those girls in high school, man. They liked you one day, the next day they were on to the next guy. But once this weekly candle closes and we go on to the next weekly candle, if this green dot is on the chart as the candle closes, it will be there forever. If we get a big move down, let's say we're coming back down to like 80K, this green dot's going to go away. The momentum wave is going to flop down lower, and it's never going to close the candle with the green dot here. So confirmation simply just means the candle's closed, and now it's forever printed on that chart. But until the candle closes, if we come down, that green dot will disappear.
Yeah, so it's all about the candle closures. This goes back to also trading. This episode, this stream is loosely tied around trading secrets, trading tips.
Secrets.
I think one of the things that people do, and I still do it myself sometimes, we get so excited by a slight breach. If we come back over to my chart, we get a slight breach on a trend line, even considering like right here, oh, it's going up, on this daily, we had a wick above. That means it's blasting off. Well, that wasn't confirmed. Why is it not confirmed? Because the price action moved above this resistance line, but the candle not only broke back down, closed lower than the previous candle. So there's no confirmed break there. We need to stop chomping at the bit on every move. Now, I took a little bit of a swinger, I'll admit it, on a bit tensor tau, but I also sold much higher, and I'm pretty okay with the almost 60% drop in price action. And I feel like contextually we're in a bit of a bottoming zone, and we did reject on a resistance line, and it did hold above this moving average and the 382. So for my strategy, I'm comfortable buying this because I also know that if this drops, I'm not going to capitulate. I'll just add more to the position because I'm not day trading this. This is a position trade. So I'd love to get your thoughts, not on this specific chart or strategy, but the difference in time horizons. Because some people, they buy something because one influencer said this is a great purchase over time, and then they're watching trading signals on another trading channel talking about what's happening on bearish divergences on a 4-minute time frame, And why different time, your time horizons and the strategies that you're using for different assets? How do you manage those things when you're trying to put together your strategy and make decisions?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and it's something people need to figure out, before you start trading. So, one thing I always say is just because I'm bullish doesn't mean it's time to long, right? And just because I'm bearish doesn't mean I'm going to be taking a short. You have to wait for an entry. You have to wait for an entry. And so when you're looking at these higher time frames, like we were both just kind of highlighting here, you get a confirmed green dot. You literally have 3 weeks of downside before the big pump. So this is where you need to determine what kind of a trader are you? Are you coming in here with high leverage? Because if you are, you're going to get liquidated on this move. Even though you were bullish and you were right, you're going to get liquidated because, we have 3 weeks of downside. So you need to understand the time frame for your trade. And with that comes now, how are you going to handle your risk, right? Because for me, with any trade or any investment you take, you need three things. You need an entry with a reason to have an entry there. You need a plan to get out if it goes against you, and you need a plan to get out if it goes for you, right? You need those three things. Otherwise, you're just gambling. You're going to ride the waves up and down. You're going to get liquidated. And so the way I would be looking at these high time frames is, let's say this green dot confirms, all right? What this does to me is, as somebody who's primarily a day trader, like obviously I hold spot Bitcoin, but I'm not buying spot Bitcoin here. I already bought all my Bitcoin I wanted back in 2022, to be honest. So I'm only selling, I've only sold Bitcoin in 2025. I've not bought any Bitcoin. So what this does, this green dot, is it gives me a bullish bias, right? I say, okay, based on the data on my chart, I know that probably around the second half of May, we're going to start to pump like crazy. What that means is, now when I'm looking for a trade on, let's say, the 1 hour, and let's say I know it's the second half of May, and let's say, just for example's sake, we have like some kind of crazy local support here. Let's say it's a naked monthly point of control and a weekly order block and a golden pocket. What this does for me on the hourly time frame is, I know, like, okay, I'm expecting a big pump. I'm expecting this support to hold if I see bullish divergences. And so now I can come up with a trade setup where, let's say, I'm going to shoot for something like this, right? Where I'm going to shoot for $110,000 Bitcoin. What this does is it takes that higher time frame bias and it contextualizes this lower time frame trade, where I'm simply looking for a local entry here. I have an invalidation for the trade. Where do I get out if it goes against me? If we keep making lower lows, you got to get out of your long trade, right? Why trying to long a downtrend? But if we do bounce from here, now I have my high time frame bias to say, you know what? This is like a 6-to-1 risk reward ratio trade. Meaning, if I'm risking 1, I'm looking to make 6, and I'm expecting this big move because the higher time frames are telling me chances are we're going to get a big pump. So I'm bullish right now on the weekly, but you got to have that patience, especially if you're a day trader or a scalper, to say, you know what, I'm bullish, but I need to wait for an entry to present itself. And here's the thing, man, the entries will present themselves. Like, people want to front run, they get excited, they want to make money now, but patience is going to pay off in these markets. Understand the context you're trading in, and then wait for those perfect opportunities. Don't try and force it. The trade will come to you. Even if you miss the next one, the one after that you'll get. So, that's how I take my high time frames and then put them into lower time frame contexts. Because you also got to think to yourself too, especially for me, like, I consider myself like somewhere between a scalper and a day trader. So I'm usually looking at trades where I have a very tight stop. Like, it's rare that I need more than like a 2.5% stop loss, because I'm entering my trades on such low time frames. So what this does really, and this is very powerful, this allows you to have your high time frame bullish bias, get a ninja entry where now you're looking at risking 1 to potentially make like 14. And I like to stick back to the 1% rule on my leverage trading, where I only risk 1% of my trading account per trade. So if I'm looking to get into a trade I'm risking 1% to make 14% on one trade, even if I take half the trade out at a TP1, I'm still looking to make like 10% on that trade, on that single trade, while risking 1%. So, having that higher time frame bias can really help you get into those trades on a low time frame and then hold them because you're letting your runners run and you have a reason to do so, you know?
Yeah, I love that because you're also highlighting that you're looking at the 3-day chart, kind of outlining what your vision is over the next few weeks. But you're looking at the one, in this case, I'm sure you've have a little bit of variety here, but you pull up the 1-hour chart. Okay, if I'm looking for a 3-day move for a trade, I might be looking into the next few weeks. Where's my entry going to be on because there's different market cycles. People don't realize it's not just a bull. It's not just a bullish trend or a bearish trend. It's usually, I look at 3 cycles at any given time: the macro cycle, the midterm cycle, and then the very near term cycle, because you're always looking for cycle reversals. So while we may be in a macro uptrend, I'm looking for the midterm cycle for what I'm going to play on smaller time frame trades. And the scalp trades, I'm looking at the 1 hour, sometimes 24 minute, which all could be in different trends. You could be an uptrend where you're looking for a downtrend scalp while you're looking for an entry for a longer term play. It's like,
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend for anybody, master a longer term trade first, but practice with small money on some very quick, small, short term time frames, because you can really start to master those reversals. And one of the things I like that you pointed out on that potential, point of control, but also maybe an order block, but also is the combination of ingredients that can help build your probabilities towards what a move's going to do. Even when you're looking at that 3-day dot, the first thing I saw, because I'm always looking for supporting or contrary data, that 3-day dot also shows, at the same vein, not only the green dot potentially forming, but also I think, yeah, that's the 4-day. Yeah, there you go. You see the 3-day, you have the green dot, while you also have the VWAP looking like it's angling to cross back to play a positive spread. So you have 2 things right there immediately.
Yeah, Confluence, man. It's all about the confluence. I mean, whenever you're looking for a trade, and this is where the technical analysis really comes in, at least to my style, you want to ask yourself, if I could come to this chart and I could control where the price action goes, where would I want to take my next trade? And that's where you plan your next trade, right? Because there's a really good chance if you see this level on the chart that has like a weekly order block and a golden pocket and a point of control and all this stuff, you're like, man, I would love if price came down to there, because then if I saw bullish divergences, I would take a juicy long from that level. And so that's how I make plans. Like every single day, I come to the chart and I make plans. I put the trade long and short tool on the chart. And I might say, it's a Monday. And I say, I'm not taking any trades today unless price does this. And I'll look to take a short. I'm not taking any longs unless like price comes here. And then I'll take a long. And that's it. And then I just set my alerts. I go about my day. I'm not sitting there trying to overtrade. I'm waiting for those perfect setups to come. And then once it comes to the level and the alert goes off, then it's just a simple decision. You already did the work. You already know this is a key level. You just look at the indicator. You say, do I see my confirmations that I was looking to see? If yes, you take the trade. You already know where your stop loss is going to go. You already know where your take profits are going to be. If you don't see it, you don't take a trade. It's just that simple. So, it really helps, at least me, to always have that plan in advance to say, I'm not going to sit here all day and chase price on the 1 minute chop city. I'm going to wait for my key levels with lots of different ingredients. And I'm planning for it. So I already know my stop loss, which means I already know how much money I'm putting on the trade. I already know how much I'm risking. I already know how much I'm trying to win on the trade. And so then, because I've done all that thinking in advance, when the time comes, it's a simple yes or no. Do I see bullish divergence? Okay, take a trade. Do I not see it? Don't take a trade. That really takes a lot of the emotion and the FOMO out of the equation.
Well, one of the things I've always liked about your streams also, of course, we talk markets, we talk trading, we try to inject a little humor here and there as well, but also numbers. But at the end of the day, for me, it's trading has become one of the best analogies on how you're dealing with life. Are you a reactor or are you a responder? When you respond, you have a plan ahead of time. When you react, you are literally becoming a slave to your emotions of that moment, which is a lot of times going to leave out certain key aspects that you need. That all of us need our own boundaries to make sure that we need our own bumpers, like when we're kids, when we're bowling. Otherwise, you're going to throw it in the gutter every time, even though you think you threw it hard enough. You're going to throw it straight in the gutter. But I'd love to get you. I don't want to keep you here all day. I know you have your stream. I'm just going to highlight it here. I'm going to get you to do some TA real quick before we go. Little 2-minute technicals on Solana, maybe Chainlink, maybe Avalanche, and then we can roll. We'll do just real quick breakdowns just so people can see what you're looking at. But I wanted to highlight, here we go. I wanted to highlight before we do go, this right here. Make sure you're following Jayson at Jayson, which is JAYSON_Casper, Jayson Casper. And also make sure you're following him over on YouTube. He does great content all day, every day. And he's an inspirational guy rooted in gratitude that also has a good time on stream, teaching people how to do markets and talk about God and figure out how we can get off the grid and mine some chickens and some eggs. I love that about you. You're a very well-rounded person, not just numbers on a screen. So I love that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thanks for shilling my channel and stuff. And I can stand here as long as you want me, man. So no worries there.
Let's see what you're seeing on Solana, because some people think it's over, even though it did a 35x from $8 all the way up to $2.95. And I look at it, I'm like, this is pretty. It's on the one hand a very bearish looking setup, with just that massive rounding top.
Yeah.
But then I can't help but I personally can't help but feel like the context of the market is suggesting higher. How do you deal with that sort of contention? What are you seeing in this?
Yeah, so for me, Bitcoin is the leader of the pack here. So because Bitcoin looks so bullish, I'm going to take that into consideration when I'm looking at SOL. So right now, weekly time frame Solana, what we see here is we see a very oversold wave on the weekly, also printing a green dot in 3 days and 8 hours. It will confirm when that candle closes. But more importantly, I'd say this. We have this range going from, it's been over a year. All right, February 2024, we were trading in this sideways range here. And what we've just done is we have gotten a very bullish engulfing weekly candle that has wicked down below $109, which was the low of the range. It's taken all the liquidity, and it's had a very bullish close now back above that previous purple candle open. And so this is a swing failure pattern on the weekly time frame. 2 week, look at that, man. Look at that 2 weekly candle right here. An extremely bullish hammer candle after taking the liquidity. Even on the monthly time frame right now, we still have half a month left, but this is a bullish candle. On the monthly time frame, when you have a hammer candle like this at the bottom of a 1-year range, right? This isn't a 5-minute chart. This is the monthly chart. We've taken the liquidity. We've literally bounced from this monthly order block at $96, taking the liquidity from the bottom of the range. And so given the context of Bitcoin printing a signal which historically has led to the breakout of the range in this uptrend, I'd say that this is a pretty key support. And so, don't be surprised if we get a big move up. I mean, just let's look at the weekly time frame here. Whenever we get a oversold momentum wave under that zero line, I mean, last time this happened, this resulted in that big push to the upside. It's given us, 130%. And then, the times before that, I don't even have to go over the big percent gains. But even in the bear market, when you get that oversold wave, it's the middle of the bear market, 80% move to the upside. Right over here, in the heat of the bull market, June 2022, cycle bottom, 86% move to the upside. Yeah, it was slow. But my point here is that we have a signal printing that will confirm in a few days that historically has given us tens of percents moves to the upside, over 50% every single time. And we are right now at a very key support, while Bitcoin is also looking like it's setting up for another breakout. So whether or not, and I forgot to say this about Bitcoin too, whether or not the top is in and we're all disappointed and that's it, I still think we're in for a big move on all these coins. A little bit of relief, at the very least, I'd be looking for us to come back to around 200, right? Which would, from where we're at right now, be, a 70% move to the upside. So I think Solana actually looks bullish given all these factors. Now, again, we have to wait for the weekly confirmation, the weekly candle close, because right now, obviously, we are at massive support, resistance flip, right? So this could be resistance. We might tomorrow just everything dumps, and then that's it. We don't confirm the green dot. But if this does confirm, this is a very bullish signal historically. It means pump city. And given the context of Bitcoin, I think this could really result in a big move to the upside. What else did you want to take a look at?
Chainlink and Avalanche.
Okay, so Chainlink, is a little bit different, I'd say, than Solana here, because we have not taken that liquidity from the lows. And I would say this on Chainlink, in the event that these weekly confirmations don't print, we are bouncing from very key support on Chainlink, which is the bear market resistance. Like this green line here, this was the top of our bear market range. And so we got that bounce back in August. We've made a higher high. We're currently making a higher low right here, potentially about to form a trigger wave on market Cipher B. So we're about to print a green. It's not even printing yet. So it's probably going to be a week or 2 or 3 before this thing is confirmed. But the uptrend is still intact here. And the major support resistance flip has held. And we are currently bouncing from this last little zone of consolidation here. And so, again, I'm going to have to defer back to the overall context of the crypto market. I'm going to leave the stock market out of this for now. But given the fact that Bitcoin looks like it's setting up for something bullish, I think we can also be looking at that for Chainlink as well, because Bitcoin will lead the way. And I have to say, given the fundamentals on Chainlink, it just seems preposterous to me that we're not going to see it above $50. So again, maybe this is a little bit of hope, but it's hope based on technicals. And I'm front running some of the technicals here because we don't know if Bitcoin's going to confirm the green dot. We don't even know if there's going to be one that prints here on Chainlink. But if it does print, and especially if it does confirm, we're looking at a move to the upside. And like I said, because let's be honest, there's always a chance the top is in. But even if the top is in, if this green dot confirms, I would expect at least the head and shoulders, which means for all these coins, right? Even if the top's already in, we're gearing up for a retracement here. I mean, things are bottoming out. We could see a 100% pump on Chainlink, assuming the worst, assuming the top's already in. We could be looking at a 100% pump to the upside on Chainlink. Worst case scenario, right? I mean, best case scenario that we're going to have like a big altcoin season blow off top like we all want, and we're looking at hundreds of percent here if we come up to $60 or above. So again, I'm looking at this through the lens of what is Bitcoin doing right now, because if I was looking at this chart alone, I would not be as optimistic, simply because the money flow is crossing purple. We don't actually have a green dot printing right now. But given the context of the Bitcoin chart and a lot of other altcoins, I have to be leaning more bullish on Chainlink as well. Like at least for a move back up to like $22. And then I'm expecting and leaning towards eventually this year coming above 50K. Well,
50K.
Man, that'd be crazy.
My life would be beyond forever changed if it was 50K.
I know.
It's one of my larger altcoin holdings, that and Ondo.
Oh, really? Ondo? Interesting,
Yeah.
man.
I just think it's a good institutional play because it's on kind of, I don't want to say partner, but woven into the fabric of what BlackRock's doing, securitized, the bigger fund, Goldman Sachs, almost a MicroStrategy, MasterCard. They're doing a lot of. I think it's a little bit of a risk play, but I think it's a well-founded risk play. That Chainlink and Ondo are my two largest, and then Aerodrome I've got quite a bit of too. Did you see the information? Aerodrome may be putting some foreign exchange forex trading on that's going to be processed through the Aerodrome DEX.
Interesting. No,
If that were to happen, that would be of course that's a multi-trillion-dollar a day market. Of course, not all of it would be traded through that, but that would be a massive speculative push if that were to play out like expected. But yeah, let's look
that'd be
at
crazy.
Avalanche.
Let's check it out.
And
So
thanks for
is that
coming on,
also
brother. Thanks for coming on.
for
It's
sure,
been
man?
cool to have you on.
Is that why you're also into Chainlink? Because like the WEF is all about it.
Well, Chainlink is also, it's the most integrated coin. You know, it's kind of doing a lot of the things that Cosmos wanted to do and Polkadot wanted to do. But then outside of that, it also has Oracle networks that are bridging stuff that's not even on chain, like data stuff for Web2 analog stuff. Beyond that, they're also integrating with Swift, which, you know, does some trillions of dollars a year. And then DTCC, which does like $3 quadrillion a year. It just feels so uniquely positioned. I would feel like it would be the silliest decision to make if you're in crypto to not hold Link in some capacity.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, man. I hold quite a bit myself. All right, so let's take a look at AVAX. So in general here, you know, we had that bearish div. It led to a low, a lower high, a lower low. Like I said, man, I'm gonna everything I'm talking about right now. I just want to make it very clear to everybody that I always recommend, if anybody in my personal life comes to me for advice in crypto, I never tell them to buy when when Bitcoin's at all-time highs. All right, and Bitcoin right now is at all-time highs. We're above the previous cycle high because you never know when the top's going to be in. All right, so that's just some non-financial advice. But when I look at the chart, I see the following. Number one, we had the breakout of the falling wedge. Bullish, we make a higher high. And if we look at this whole thing as one move, right? Just one move that has like an ABC correction, we're bouncing from the zone between the 786 and the 886 Fibonacci, which for altcoins, this is the golden pocket for altcoins, 786 and the 886. As we're doing this, we're seeing a bullish divergence on the weekly confirmed already, right? Price is getting low into key support after a big breakout, a change of market structure, a back test of key fib support. And so to me, this chart looks definitely more bullish than bearish. And like I said before, you know, you never know when the top is in, but when you're seeing bullish divergences confirming on market Cipher, I mean, we actually have a double drive of bull div here. If you take a look, there's actually two confirmed green dots here as the price is actually wicking lower than that first low. When you see these types of things, this is not the time to be selling or getting bearish. Doesn't mean we can't go to zero because anything's possible. But this is not the time to be selling or getting bearish. When you see a macro bottom signal like this, right, break out of the wedge, and then a back test into key fib support with double drive of bull div on the weekly, to me, that kind of makes it seem like this is our new range, right? If we just remove everything here, we can kind of see that it looks like this is our high that's being respected twice. This is now our low, like around this area, that's now being respected twice. We could even pull this back and see that this exact level was respected all the way back here in 2022. It was resistance all throughout 2023. We broke out, get a little back test. And so when you're seeing bottom signals printing at a level that's been respected for 3 years, you have to assume that we're going to get a move to the upside here. Now, again, could we just make another lower high and dump? Anything's possible. But given the positioning right now of Bitcoin and a lot of other altcoins, I'm leaning towards all these coins hitting new highs. I'm hoping for that. And admittedly, guys, I'm holding these coins, looking to sell them at new all-time highs. So I have an emotional reason to want higher. Okay, so I'm just going to be totally upfront about that. But also, I'm going to be upfront about the fact that the technicals are lining up to say that there's a pretty good chance we could see that move to the upside, hopefully to new all-time highs, but at least I would say back, 100+%, just trading this sideways range,
Yeah, I see it very, I mean, almost identical to what you're seeing. It's nice to have a confirmation bias there a little bit, with somebody else I respect in the space. I'm not seeing things that are crazy. I still think there's a lot of room to go in this space. I think there's going to be some chop. We got all the institutions on the horizon just now. And I just want to highlight again, everybody, make sure you're going to follow Jayson over here on his page at Jayson Casper, JAYSON_Casper. He's got this beautiful photo up here at the top with a bunch of Bitcoin. He's holding his giant white cock from his farm. And we got crypto trading, fitness, and homesteading, baby. You see him walking the whole time here. I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, how many calories has he burned while I've been sitting here watching him? I need to step up on that. Make sure you're following his YouTube as well. He'll be going live here in just about 20, 30 minutes on his page at Jayson Casper. I'll drop that link in the live chat for you guys. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Always great content there. Jayson, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. Do you have any, I'll let you go now. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share before we go?
Oh, no, I'm not, none at all, man. Zero thoughts.
Well, I appreciate you. We're going to have to do this again. Bummed that you're not going to be there. Maybe I'll get a cardboard cutout and put you in the media house with us there at, in Vegas. And, I'll cut to you a couple times on the live stream and get your thoughts on your cutout.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be
well,
good.
I appreciate you, buddy. I'll see you in the next one, my friend.
All right, bro. Peace. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being
God
had,
bless,
my man. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and your wisdom, man. I'll see you in the next one. What a great conversation there with Jayson Casper. Make sure you're giving him a follow again. And I really want you all to make smart decisions. And you saw how he was thinking about not just the price action, but the context of how the altcoins specifically also were related to what was going on with his thoughts on where Bitcoin was going to go. Similarly, Bitcoin is kind of in a precarious situation on the directionality of it as it relates to what's happening with the S&P 500. All these assets interact with each other and can be leading signals and lagging signals in both direction for what's going on with the risk narrative. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I got to roll now because I got to jump into a call here in just a moment. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Adios, everybody.